Hello again, welcome to the Spirit of Watercolor, and I just have a question for you. What is charging a wash? In our book of the 70 favorite watercolor techniques, we look at different kinds of techniques from Zoltan Szabo's teaching methods, and he has all these wonderful, beautiful ways to approach watercolor with his own design brushes, with the palette knives we just did and finished, and here we are looking at charging a wash. I'm just going to go right into it. We're going to go to the table and we're going to put some paint out, and then we're going to charge it with another color, and you'll see what happens, and then we'll consider ways to use this. It's similar to variegated wash. It may even be the same in some people's way of looking at it, but there's a certain technique to it. And so let's do it and see what we create. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, and let's keep learning the spiritual way to watercolor. Linda here, of course, and I'm looking forward to continued subscribing with you. And we'll talk more about the days that I'll be on the computer, when I upload to YouTube, so you'll know when to look for me. Okay, here we go. So we're going to move forward. I've taped this down. I actually cut a Fabriano piece of paper in half and then a half again because it's good paper, and we're going to do charging a wash. And I'm going to follow, if you looked at the beginning intro to the video here, I had charged the washes into the earth and the grounds that were up in the foreground, and into the water, so there was little mountainy things here and water flowing and a beautiful sky. There was some clouds and sun. So we're going to take that sky. This is going to be very minimal drawing because we're going to let the charged washes do information for us here, and we're just going to explore what it is to charge a wash. And there's a couple important tips I want to share with you on that. I'm going to bring a little bit more water, or sort of land for, so say we're on an island here and we're looking out into the water. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking to do here. I think then in that case I might actually add, that's when you have a saran wrap box, it's handy here for a nice horizon line in the background, and then maybe a few trees up in there as well. And you can make a composition pretty quickly and easily, actually. I'll maybe do a little bit of land back here, and very little, and some maybe trees here, and we'll try a little bit of maybe charging the trees into the horizon, and then we'll come into there. This will just be, water. Now we're just going to come in with our washes. I have my watercolors pretty loaded on the palette, and I'm going to start with my sky. So I'm just going to do, again, I always put a nice thin layer of water there, just so I can get a little sky. And I've got this, I think it's Cirrulus. It's a blue that is a Sennilier paint. I can use my large brushes, flat brush, 1 inch, to lay in my wash of my sky. This is a lovely blue. I just kind of need to branch out of my blues. I'm always using the same ones, and I have some really pretty blues here in my palette inventory, my paint inventory, excuse me. So let's get that a bit wetter. That was really dried on there. I often spray my palette, but I don't always do that. Okay, that's pretty saturated. And now I'm going to come down here. Not sure where to put my palette. I'm still getting used to a changed way of videotaping. Bring this down a bit. And then we'll bring it in our wash, okay? Whoa, what a nice blue. Okay. All right. I could have gone a little more at the top, but That is an interesting blue. There's so many kinds of blue, or so many kinds of so many colors. I'm going to lighten this up a little as I go down. You remember my board is tilted with these yogurt cups because I like that. Okay. And then I'm going to come back over that a little bit because I kind of want to make sure that wash is kind of coming down. I've got a little, you know, I'm trying to keep it fresh and not keep laboring in. If there's a little bit of imperfection there, we'll just kind of decide later about that. We can maybe lift it out or even it out. Okay. I always have my blotter here to blot with, and then this is to kind of clean up, you know, anything here I don't really want. I'm gonna see if I can lift that or move it. Nah, we're just maybe gonna leave it there for now. Okay. Overall, we have a pretty nice flat wash coming through. I guess this is just a little bit of a slight imperfection. Skies aren't always this absolute perfect blue, although this morning it sure looked like it to me. Okay, so now then this will be our water down below, and what I'm thinking of there is to, you know, make that blue a little more aqua-y. So I'm going to add just, wow, that cerulean really went, or Cirrulus Blue really went across my palette. Now I'm going to, I see a little bit of yellow from another video, and I'd kind of like to bring a little of that green that it's becoming into the wash for the water. Okay. I'm going to pull some of this blue into the... Sometimes your ocean has a greener cast or a more aqua blue cast to it. Okay. And while that's setting up a little, I'm just going to bring in some oceany effect here. And I'm getting a little bit of dry brush there on purpose, actually, because I just did a video on that you might want to check out, and the sparkle that you get from dry brush is really nice in water. You see how this is a little more aqua blue? Okay. And we're going to kind of hold on to some of that aqua blue. My land is coming into place here, and so I'm going to just let that go over there. All right, and kind of over here. Now, I want to go in and charge some trees into this here. When I do this, I hope it's still wet enough. If not, you can let that completely dry and then re-wet with just water. But I want to take like a really nice pointed round here. And I'm going to, as I always have two tubs, I'm going to take a tub here and I'm going to flip it because my other one got very, very blue. And it's probably not too bad, but the clearer the water, the better. Splat. Okay, now I want to just bring in some trees, just kind of pressing in here. Let's see if it's still wet. Yeah, it's not as wet as I'd like it to be here. Let's wet that back out a little bit, okay? Alright. And then I'm also gonna, while this is still wet, bring that in a little more into where the landline is. Okay. Here we are. That's a line. Just even things up a little here. Soften that out. Okay. Now, I may actually get a little bit of what they call a backwash, because I just added water into that and it kind of separates out and kind of, you see the clear water coming down. That's the backwash. That's the other technique that I wanted to talk a little bit about. I'm not sure if we're going to do a separate video on that or not. Let me know what you think. Okay, I'm going to start with some of these beautiful greens. I have sap green and green gold and I want to bring in those into the trees up ahead here. Okay. Always working on keeping my head out, but I think I'm okay. But let's, I can lift this up for a moment and we can press these in and make some trees there. Oops. Not sure what's happening on the edge here. It must be dry. Okay. But down here where it's still wet, I'm kind of charging these colors in and getting this sort of a reflection here, okay? This is getting dry today. This one's drier down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do down at the bottom here is I'm going to bring in a nice earth color, okay, and I'm going to bring in some of the greens again, and that green will be, there's a thing about composition where this color, if I pull it into areas of the painting that take our eye around, we'll be able to, it'll make you look around the painting, which is composition tips that I suppose we should talk about in the future video. So I'm just going to come in here. Let's see. I'm going to see how far I can get my board. Oh, I'll have to back down and then I'll zoom in later on the video editing. But we're going to go into the land here, okay? We're going to take a beautiful, my Quinacridone Deep Gold is often my brown. I love that. It's a little bit more of an orangey than it's, well, no, it's sienna can be about the same. It's just much more transparent and intense. The quinacridone colors I've been talking about a lot. I'm also going to bring in some of this black, I think it's Payne's gray I've got mostly in here, but it's mixed with neutral tint probably, so it's just nice darks and sedimentation. So we'll bring some of that in and we'll charge it into our quinacridone colors here. So take a watch here. Let's take a look here. We're going to bring that land in, okay? And these colors are just beautiful. Your paintings can kind of do their own thing sometimes because we have, they're just so beautiful. Okay, that's already to me heavenly. I'm going to bring this a little over here toward the water, and then I'm going to end up down here with, I'm going to have the value shift by wetting it now. That was wet on dry. Now we're going in and letting that land kind of flow down, and you can see the papers handling this nicely. We're going to maybe have a little reflection down there. So I'm going to bring in my dark granulation into the painting now. This is charging now. I'm charging in color, okay, and letting it flow and do what it wants, okay? And here as well, bringing it down in the bottom of that, where the land is. And this is kind of like what you saw in my intro. I did a painting similar to this composition, probably pretty much the same. Okay, I'm coming back in with some of the layer. This deep gold kind of almost goes into a gold, this brown, which is just beautiful. Okay, I just want to clean up the edges a little. Bleed in more, charge in a little more. Yeah, I can charge in some of that deep gold back into the lighter value and see what happens here. And then let's bring in some more of this dark here. Charging it in, charging in, letting it flow, doing sort of rocky shore things. And then maybe we'll let this kind of bleed out into a reflection in the water. Okay, and then we'll bring in maybe some blue down in there at some point. Okay, unless it's just the land down here. I'm letting the painting tell me a little bit what it wants. Okay, why not? Just as long as the paint's pretty and we have the charging happening. I'm probably going to pop in some of this green gold down there. I didn't do that, and I was going to put in some greens. Let's charge in some greens and see what happens. Maybe there's some moss growing on this piece of land here, on this little island. Ooh, yes, okay, and maybe some more grasses over here. And if I had a little tiny brush, I could bring up some of this into little grasses, but yeah, ooh, okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be more land down here. I'm very willing to make a shift. You have to go with the paint flow, you know. It's going to sometimes tell us what we're going to do, right? I'm mixing it with the gold there. Charge, charge, charge. Okay. Let's see. I love the intensity of the color. And that's kind of what our goal is today, is to see, you know, what we're going to get here. I'm going to bring a little more of that over. It's just nice. That's a little more of that burnt color. You can charge back into it as it's drying a little bit. There's some really nice stuff going on down there. You might just watch it. Sometimes watch it. Leave it and watch it. See what you're getting. See what you think. This is really kind of standing out, so I'm going to add a little of the, well, I was going to add a little of that black in there that I made with my Payne's Gray and Neutral Tint. Neutral Tint is kind of a purpley black, and Payne's Gray is kind of a blue black, so you kind of end up with a, well, I don't know, I like it. I like it. Okay, yeah. Again, this is a study, okay? It could turn into a painting I frame. But I'm not committed to that totally, because I won't experiment and I won't explore. All right, I might even bring a little land in back there eventually. Kind of like how those trees kind of came out there. I'm going to add a little more, some green over there. I can always clean up my brushes by blotting on this blotter, remember, okay? I pat, you know, all the water out of this brush, and it gets, it's amazing how much water you get in your brush. It can be too wet. Okay, see that beautiful charging in there? And now let's take a little bit of that sienna, but in a softer wash, because it's got to be lighter in the background value-wise, okay? But up here it's probably pretty dry, so I can bring in a little land up in here, okay? Just a little soft bit of land in the background here, okay? And maybe a little bit of reflection into the water as well. And we'll kind of take a wet brush and just kind of bring it down a little more into the water. Yeah. Oh. This is already coming out very good. Having good paper can really make a difference. That's really light, but you know, if you have strong contrasting differences, their foreground will really pop forward perspective-wise. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Might take a break here, and we'll come back and put in some more land over here, a little more water under there. And I'm going to just take that over. Finish that off. Okay. Oh, that's pretty. So that's where I charged a lot of color in here. It was more obvious charging into these really strong colors versus charging over here with the softer colors. But it's the same concept, okay? The same strategy. All right. I kind of like what's happening with this reflection here. Although it could be a little more coming this way, but it looks so perfect I'm afraid to touch it. Let's let it dry, and then we'll do this one as well. And I may do that and come back and talk about it, or I might do it on video. Let's see what happens when it dries. Okay, I started back in, and I just started charging some of the sienna into the sienna here on this second piece of land, trying to be a little lighter in value. I'm not sure if it's so orange when it gets light. It may be actually looking brighter than the foreground. But we're going to bring in those darks now and charge them in. Charging again, okay? Just where you want it. And, you know, again, I've got gravity here. If I want this not to flow downward, I can lift that board up, remember, like that, okay? And so I do like that kind of gravity in there. And I'm bringing, again, that down, and then we're going to have some more flow of water in here underneath and more reflection. But at the moment, I'm just going to let that flow down a little. It's kind of pretty what's happening there. Bring my land out a little bit. Okay. And bring a little more of that pretty blue we had. Oops, here it is. I bring just a little bit of this blue and then charge it into the. May actually turn really green, but oh, how pretty is that? Yeah, so just pushing water, pushing paint in. We have this wonderful charging watercolor technique. Okay. I'm getting very aqua there. I'm gonna go back in my palette and get a little less green. It's pretty though. I don't know if it really, but the intensity is just gorgeous. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then I might do some of that up here also. Bring a little more in, a little bit of that lovely blue somewhere in here. Some of that I need to do as the details finishing up. Right now we're still in the wet on wet stage, so don't be afraid to get in there and try out these gorgeous colors. I've got so much paint, you know, I could always buy more paint and more brushes, but once you've got some really good stuff, it's just, it's really a joy just to enjoy the paints and the colors. This again is undecided, but I like what's happening overall here, and I'm going to just bring in a little bit of water here and kind of decide where my water, my beautiful colors should go here toward the land. Hopefully it's dry enough to do get that close to it. Getting a little bolder with that charging color there. Yeah. Just some little lines into the wet on wet, into the water. Yes, okay. I'm going to slow down a little more. Yeah, this is very, very pretty. I'm going to go back up into this top area in a little bit I know that this needs a little, someone told me you need a little darkness under the land. A friend of mine. I'm going to go in with some of this sienna mixed with you can charge by just tapping in, or you can charge by pushing in like we did with the trees. You can charge in with just a big brush, push in, literally pushing in. I've seen it done different ways. I've watched different people this week just to see if there's different ways that people handle charging. And there's more than one way, and it's all good. I'll just lift some of this out. I still feel like that's not quite having the look of land. Maybe some more green in there. I love that green gold and the sap and what they kind of do. And there's little bits of white area where we could kind of see what happens. Bring some of this in. Maybe just turn into an interesting brown, but sometimes those whites are kind of nice in there. You don't want to necessarily completely lose those. But there you go. We've charged a lot, and as it's drying now, I can see that, I can detail things in afterwards. Okay. I've also noticed, like if you look here, that sometimes that creates perspective by lifting out some of the color and getting some lighter values. So I just take a clear wet brush and and you just come in and you might lift out some of the color, see, and you get a little more movement in your land, a little more, a little more hills and valleys of the land in there, and it creates that. And so that one's a little softer. I might just kind of leave it that way for now. And I might soften up this edge a little, just because it's really intense. Or I could intensify this one more so that it's not fighting for the foreground, because this is hotter, warmer, and this gets a little more neutral. So, you've got that push-pull of the perspective going on sometimes. Okay, so I really hope that you enjoyed this video and the demonstration of charging washes into your watercolors. And this was the piece that we were working on, and we charged the colors in here, and I hope that you enjoyed that. And and also back in the lighter areas, we charged the colors into the light blue, and then into the sea or the ocean, whatever that is down there, and I really like some of the beautiful things that happened here. And so you can look at this painting behind me, and also I'm going to show you a finished version that is what inspired the demonstration. I did this during the pandemic when it was early on, and it was just, I wanted to be away on an island and escape all that was going on, right? And so, again, you've got these washes. I'll put this behind me, and I charged in colors around in here and here, the land, just like that. And then I put in some grasses, and I also, did some charging into the land far in the background there, and you can look at that as well. I put a little for the birds in the sky as well, and therefore, and then matted and framed. Okay, I really sometimes think we need to look at how these look all finished up and put in the frame, and you can see how they even look more finished, and you can, you know, like this one, I picked a beachy kind of frame to go with it, just to kind of have that, you know, more rustic feel of being out on the beach. It's almost the color of sand, and I really like that. So yeah, just to inspire you, you know, sometimes getting into a painting and seeing it on the board like this, you can't really envision it, you know, pictured, you know, finished. So, you know, take a mat and put it around there while you're working on it, okay? That's another tip. So you can kind of get the feeling and then see what you need to do to detail it, finish it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad you joined me. Let's move on now to back washes and back runs, and I'll get into those in the next video. I hope you're ready to try some new things that create beautiful wet on wet techniques with the watercolors. Thanks for joining me. If you like, you know what to do, and let's move on and keep on learning together and keep on enjoying the beauty of and spiritual nature of these watercolors that connect us to what's so beautiful outside in the summer right now, and we'll move into the fall, you know, in the next few months, and start to move into different kinds of colors, right? So let's keep on going, keep on joining me. Be gentle with yourself is the saying for today, and accept when, you know, things are a little bit challenging or difficult, and find something new and beautiful to do.